So I logged into my Facebook page and saw that a good friend of mine, Skip, asked, how about I post a couple fails and you give me some feedback? And I absolutely love the idea, Skip. Thank you so much. That's super cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to record my responses here, and then I'm going to kind of splice in footage from my comparisons of me swinging and others swinging and stuff like that, and show kind of the differences between the approach that you're currently using and how you can optimize. Though this video does vary in the format, it's a little bit different than what you'll typically see on this channel, we do go into a ton of detail on how to approach laches and lache training so that you avoid tearing your hands, you avoid injury, you end up taking it more easy on your shoulders, you're gonna have more power, smoother swing, and a better landing. And if you stick around till the end of the video, I'm gonna talk about a different technique that I have not yet explored on this channel, where we're gonna get into details on how you can vary your approach when the lache is a greater distance. And if you use what I'm gonna go over at the end of the video, it also sets you up very nicely to start getting into what people are calling linking laches, or as we call them in Ninja Obstacle Academy, the carry lache. Okay, so right here.
Nice.
Okay, all right. Watch one more.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so I know that the ending is what we're really getting into, Skip, and I'm gonna get there, but I want to start by talking about a couple of things. So on this video, what I want to focus on is your catch on the next bar. Okay, so your approach is really, you're up kind of in this area, you're pretty high up, and then you've got some bend in the arms here, you got your knees up, you're closed, that's a good sign. So knees in front of hips is closed, knees behind hips is open. You want to be closed while you're catching, so that's good. And then right here, I hope you guys can see my pointer here. So your hips and your shoulders and your head are really, your hips and your shoulders, the most important part, are kind of vertically aligned. That means that you're going to have to deal with a lot of shock on your hands, your arms, and your shoulders when you catch. Because what that means is all of your weight is coming down when you catch the bar, which means that you're going to get that jarring sensation that you can see in this video. Boom,
Nice.
that jarring extension down at the bottom. What I propose is an alternative, and one that has worked for me, and it's even worked for Jessie Graff. I got to show it to her when she was out training with us a few months ago, and she said she really liked this approach. What I recommend is, instead of being vertically aligned here with your shoulders and your hips, try to be horizontally aligned. Try to have your hips parallel, and your hips and shoulders, that line, try to have that parallel to the ground. And what that does is it reduces the impact on your shoulders and on your arms, because your weight when you actually grab the bar is here instead of here. And so you're able to capitalize and maintain that forward momentum into an extension, which ends up being just the end of another front swing, and then you swing back and begin again. So I'll go ahead and cut in a video of me swinging here. So I go into my final backswing, I regrip the bar, and what you'll see as I move forward is that I release the bar a little bit sooner than what you would typically see in a conventional Ninja lache. So I draw the shortest line possible from my hips to the bar, and that's when I release. That allows me to catch in a horizontal position with my hips moving forward, and I keep my feet elevated above my hips, which makes my catch even smoother. And what you'll see here is I go through a couple more standard bar swings, staying closed on the backswing, regripping at the end of my backswing, and once again I go forward. I'm going to release sooner than what you would typically see, drawing the straightest and shortest line possible from my hips to the next bar, elevating my feet, catching in that horizontal position, allowing for that momentum to move forward, again keeping the feet up, and that leads to a smoother catch, less engagement with the arms, and a better immediate backswing moving forward. So we'll go ahead and finish this video out and move on to the next one, but I know that the ending is pretty spectacular. I think a lot of people are going to like it. So right here, and once we see the ending, I will address what happened. Oh!
You alright? Yeah.
Before we get into the details on what happened, I want to go ahead and point out that Skip did a fantastic job with how he fell. He fell directly to his back, he kept his hands up, and he did not try to stop himself with his hands. That's super important. If you put your hands down when you fall like that, you're going to end up dislocating or breaking an arm. That's not what you want to do. Finding your back means that you're spreading out what the force is hitting. You're kind of spreading the force across a wider surface area, which is going to make it less painful. And your back is pretty well armored by comparison to the rest of your body. That's why you get into the fetal position if you're under attack, because your back has got all these muscles and bones and stuff that are going to protect your organs. So generally a good spot to land when you fall is on your back. Skip, great first video. So why did you fall? What happened? What changed? What made you actually slip off the bar and do an amazing flat back fall? So the first thing is you can kind of see that he's starting to slip here. His grip's worn out a little bit, and that's a result of going in that upward downward trajectory over and over and over again, and bearing all of your weight in this vertical stack and taking on that impact plus whatever force gravity is adding to the impact. So gravity adds a ton of force very quickly, which is why it's advisable whenever possible to go in the straightest line possible, or to be angled in such a way that you're not having to bear all of your weight at the same time, which we'll get into more detail on in just a minute. All of that kind of adds up to this wearing out of the forearms, of the core here, and that's going to contribute very actively to what leads to the downfall. Let's watch those swings a couple more times. On that backswing, you can see that he's attempting to re-grip the bar, which is good. The re-grip is the part of the swing at the end of your backswing when you shift your hands back on top of the bar so that you have a full palm over the bar instead of just the tips of your fingers, slipping off more and more each time. The problem is that the way you were getting the momentum you needed for your regrip is by kicking your heels toward your butt instead of hollowing out, being closed, and elevating your hips. By kicking your heels toward your butt, you're really not buying yourself enough time to be able to effectively regrip there. And if you let go too soon or too long, you're actually going to end up peeling backwards off the bar, landing on your face, as I somewhat kind of half demonstrated in that previous video about bar swing and lache training. Instead, try closing or going hollow on your backswing, which is going to elevate your hips. It's going to speed up your backswing, and you're going to have more power, and you'll have a little moment at the end of your backswing where there's actually kind of zero gravity. You're at the top of the parabola, and you use that moment to regrip fully instead of kind of having to quick shift your hands when you kick your heels back. The other thing I recommend with this style, it looks like your thumb is under the bar. I can't really tell. I definitely recommend just throwing the thumb on top of the bar as well. Just hook over the top of it, and that's going to end up straining your hands less. You're also less likely to tear because there's less friction. So you're able to kind of navigate that a little bit better. So this one is also a really good example, and I'm going to talk about something different on this video. Okay, so first things first, before you start pulling up on your front swing, when you're trying to get your swing started, I want you to focus on trying to bring your feet and your knees as high as you can so that you end up having less of a muscular movement here, that you're able to kind of capitalize on momentum in your lower body and prevent the need to engage your arms so much. So as you can see here, I bring my knees and my feet up, which also brings my shoulders back. What that does is it levels me out. It allows me to kick forward and still generate a big front swing without having to pull up using my arms. Go back, show a couple more swings. So again, this is where you're kind of vertical. You want to be horizontal. And what that means is you're going to have to close your knees even harder forward and potentially your feet as well. And that's going to mean that you get your hips higher up in this area rather than down, and you'll have a higher fall, which means a more powerful swing, which means less effort on your upper body and even on your core. Instead of going up on your swing and trying to catch coming down, focus on trying to let go of your swing as your hips are flying directly toward that bar. So the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So when your hips make a straight line that's as short as possible to get to that bar, that's when you release. And what you're going to end up doing is almost shooting under the bar and past the bar with your hips, keeping that horizontal parallel line with your shoulders and your hips. And you're going to end up going this way, catching, extending, and then immediately coming into your backswing. And you'll feel almost no force or jarring force on your catch on the bar. And a fantastic fall. So I sent this video to Skip before I posted it on the channel because I wanted to get his thumbs up and approval, and he came back with an interesting question. What if the bar distance is greater than you feel comfortable actually just throwing your hips underneath it? What if you don't feel like you could make that distance, like you have to reach for the bar? That's a great question. So now we're gonna dive into how to handle that. How do you do a lache that still protects your shoulders, still prevents that impact if the distance is greater than you could reach by simply throwing your hips at the bar? And this lache technique is gonna set you guys up very nicely for what people are calling linking laches, or as we call them at Ninja Obstacle Academy, the carry lache. So if you practice this technique and you get good at it, you're gonna see exactly how it flows into learning the carry lache, which will be one of the next videos that you guys will be seeing on this channel. So as you can see, I'm going through a standard backswing, closing on the way back, opening on the way down, and then closing again underneath the bar. That adds power to my swing. Then as I release the bar, I'm gonna open very powerfully and throw my feet back. What that does is it allow me to rotate my body forward so I can reach out for the next bar. And that's gonna position my hips and most of my body weight behind my hands, so it takes a lot of the impact off the grab. Now this isn't perfect technique because this isn't a very big lache for me, but as we get into the next video, what I'm gonna do is film a bigger distance lache, probably about 12 feet, so I can show you guys a little bit more accurately what this should look like and break it down even further. And then we'll dive into the linking and carry laches because I know that's something my advanced ninjas are gonna be really interested and curious about. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you got something out of this video. I hope it was helpful and useful to you. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. We'd love to see you back here, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.